Hey, welcome back everybody. This is Ragnar Avery with Avery Amps. So what I wanted to do today is give you a little bit of an intro into one of the very first amps I ever built, and that is the 5F2A style amp. It's an old tweed version of an amp back from the 50s. And we like to call it the LittleTweedy because of that. This is an amp that generates about 7 watts, and it's very simple tone circuit, only a volume and a tone knob. The interesting thing about this though is that tone knob is interacting with the volume knob. And so you get this interesting complexity of great tone because of a very simple circuit, but also that interactiveness that the players can use those 2 knobs to do some really cool magic with. So with that, we've got Tim at Traverse City Guitars, and we're going to do a little bit of an intro here, introduction here, to really kind of talk through, you know, why do you like playing the amp, and what do you get out of it, right? So first of all, Tim, tell me about the amp. What do you like playing? Why do you like playing that amp?
It's the simplicity of the amp. It's 3 tubes, a volume and a tone knob, and a speaker. And I have used this amp live and for recordings. I've used it with and without pedal boards, and it's just got that real big tone. And one of the things I think is interesting with your amps is we can put any kind of speaker in this that you want. Right. And what I've chosen for a speaker for this is a Celestion Vintage 10, which is a 60-watt speaker and a 7-watt amp, and it just gives me great headroom in a live situation. So sometimes I use one of these, and sometimes I use 2 together to get that sound. So what I'm going to do here is, this is just a clean sound of the amp, and we've added a little bit of reverb via a Digiverb pedal. So here's just the amp, clean with a little bit of reverb. And if you want to distort the amp, it's got such great tone, you can kick a pedal in front of it. We're going to use a Mojo pedal to kick in front of it. Great tone in a small package. I mean, you can mic this thing or you can crank it up live. I'm on about 3. Live, I like to use this thing on about 6 or 7 to really kind of push the tone.
So do you find that these amps, the Tweed amps, are really known for then, when you get past 6 or 7, they start breaking up on their own? That's what's your feeling, personal feeling about that element of the amp?
Well, the more you turn up the Tweed series of amps, and the more you turn up the tone knob, they start to compress, and a lot of guys say they start to sag. To me, the term is sweet. They start to get really sweet, and you just get that really nice compression and that really nice sustain in the amp without it sounding harsh. And I think that's the key to being able to buy an amp from you. I can put whatever speaker I want in it to voice it to myself.
Right, that's true, yeah. Well, and the other thing is, and it'll get even more interesting when we get into the higher wattage amps, is that you can also do some selective tube change-outs too, right?
Exactly, yeah, depending on which preamp tube. I have done recording with this preamp tube as a 12AY as opposed to a 12AX.
So that kind of lowers down, gives you more headroom and lowers the
gain structure.
Gain structure, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you've also probably done some work where you've used a solid state rectifier that you could plug into where the 5Y3 rectifier would normally go, right?
I actually did that with this amp. I put a solid state rectifier where the 5Y3 rectifier would go, and then I used a 6L6 instead of the stock 6V6 with a 12AX7, and man, the headroom on that, it was just huge. It was fantastic.
Excellent. So I guess with that, so where do you like to play out at?
I'm kind of like that guitar player for hire. I play out in clubs around town. I do recording stuff on my own. I've played in various churches, various bars, festivals, all that kind of stuff. And I just like taking 2 of these if I'm outside or 1 if I'm inside. It's as big as the mic you want to put on it, guys. That's the truth.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah, absolutely, right.
Great. Why don't you take us out a little bit with a little something? Ah, yeah. Great tone, 1 amp at a time. Thank you, Tim.
You bet.